Dr. Gregory Haughton, ladies and gentlemen, former Olympian. Yes, Olympic. Dr. Gregory Haughton, ladies and gentlemen, former Olympian. Yes, Olympian for Jamaica. Yes, he has been to the World Championship. He is a motivational speaker, and we're just taking a look at track and field coming out of Jamaica, especially on the men's side this year, going to the 2021 Olympic Games. Do you think, Gregory, too many athletes are staying in Jamaica? You transitioned from Jamaica to George Mason University. Do you think too many of our youngsters are staying back in Jamaica?
That is one of the major issues that we're having now. And if you look at one of the recent articles that Mr. Mills, Glenn Mills, spoke on, he said that it is a good thing for athletes to seek other opportunities outside of the country. Because one of the things you find is that most of these clubs do not have the resources to retain all these athletes. And as a result, most of them are thrown to the wolves. Now, it is true that some of these clubs do provide some opportunities, but only for a small few. And the majority of them are dumped in a trash can, because when they're not able to produce anything significant for the club, then they try to replace them. And that has been one of the issues. My opinion is that some can stay, but majority should go, because Jamaica on a whole cannot provide some of the things that they need in order to be great. And the club does not have the resources to provide all the things that these athletes need in order to be great. So keeping all of our athletes, our young, promising athletes, just because you can, just because you're selling them a dream, just because you're letting them think that they can achieve the same thing that Usain Bolt achieved while staying in Jamaica. But not everyone can achieve the same thing as Usain Bolt. So it is important to send those who are not as good. And if you want to retain those who seem promising, then you can do so. But it is important, it is very important that we give some of these young athletes the opportunity to seek education and the opportunity for growth elsewhere, because if we don't, we are going to continue to destroy what we have left of sprinting for the male sprinters in Jamaica.
Now, with the 4 minutes we have left, Gregory, you just mentioned something key there, education. And over the years, it has been said that most of our high school athletes, by the time they get to fifth form, they're failing miserably. So some of them who are super talented, they don't even have the grades to get into a junior college. And that is also kind of troubling, because I think schools in Jamaica should set a standard in terms of what kind of grade point average you should have to represent the school on any level. Because we cannot be producing all these athletes. And this is where some of them fall short now. Because they think if they don't do well in high school, they can stay back in Jamaica and they could join a track club and they could continue running. But even then, if they don't make it to the big party, to the big dance, to the Olympics or the World Championship, then they just fizzle away and disappear. So we now need to fix that also. So we need to fix quite a few things in Jamaica. Your thoughts, and then we wrap.
Yes, I think that everyone is focused on the physical aspect of performance and growth and development. But no one seems to want to pay attention to the IQ. The IQ of the athletes will determine how consistent they are, in most cases, how many medals they can win over time, how fast they run, and how receptive they are to information. Now, it's hard to reach some of these athletes because their IQ is not where it ought to be. And now is the time where a system must be in place that can address this. So when I talk about mental training,
Right.
I'm talking about developing the person's IQ, the level of intelligence, their awareness, their consciousness. If you look at Usain Bolt, he can tell you everything about dehydration and training, and he can show you cause and effect as to why he is great. Some of our athletes today, they lack that competency because the level of their IQ. And this is why I am encouraging those leaders to put in place a system that can address that. Currently, Haughton Mentoring Group and myself, we do have an executive body where we are putting together past sprinters, past male athletes who have done it, like the Raymond Stewart and others. And we are going to address these issues because in order for the athletes to be great, they must increase their level of intelligence. They must increase their IQ in order to achieve their highest potential in their sport.
You know, one of my last conversation I had with Usain Bolt, the last time I saw him in 2019, late 2019, I asked him for a big favor. And I asked Mr. Bolt to take a look at two of the young talents in Jamaica. And at the time, I was talking about Christopher Taylor and Akeem Bloomfield. And I asked him to lend some support in terms of trying to mentor these athletes. Because sometimes, you know, they look up at a person like Usain Bolt as a big brother. They look at Bolt as a man who they would love to get to his status in terms of track and field. But they need a little push, and sometimes they need that motivation. So now, with your mentoring group, and you putting together a group of former Olympians to mentor some of these youngsters, I wonder how open the folks in Jamaica is to this. Are they open to this?
Well, it doesn't matter if they're open. I am hoping that they would just join the team and see that we're doing this for them as well. We're doing this for the younger athletes who are coming up, and we're even doing this for the older athletes who may not even know how to make the transition from professional into the career development. So we're doing this for the country on a whole. Now, it is true that some of these athletes themselves may not be receptive, and again, it comes back down to IQ and the level of intelligence. Also, because of the influence that they have around them, you do have people who can encourage them to do things that are not in their best interest. So what we are putting in place, it is for those who want more out of their talent, more out of their effort, more out of the investing in self, because we do not want to be watching Olympics within the next few years and we're so disappointed we have to turn our TV off when it's male sprinting. We want the best for our country, and we also want the best for our athletes.
Now, Dr. Gregory Haughton, before you go, because I'm sure with the listenership that we have here at Groovin Radio, there are some folks who are heavily involved in track and field listening to you this evening. How can they reach you in terms of getting in touch with you? Because I know there are coaches that normally listens to us, and how can they reach you, to engage their athletes?
You can find me on all these social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook, Gregory Haughton. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. I'm very good at reaching out or accepting questions from others. So once you search the name, put the name in, you will see all my information, my website, my social media handles, and everything else. So I'm very reachable.
Keep on preaching, my brother. Dr. Gregory Haughton, ladies and gentlemen, former Olympian from Jamaica. Yes, he is indeed a motivational speaker. It is always great chatting with you, Gregory, and we will certainly do it again, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
One love, Gregory, one love. But ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Gregory Haughton. Yes, a former Olympian from Jamaica, and he is indeed now a motivational speaker trying to help these young, bright minds or young talented minds out of Jamaica stay focused and keep their eyes on the prize. Thank you so much, Gregory Haughton. We have come to the end of Open Forum Community Talk.